This is the Ecofeminist Podcast. I'm your host, Ellen Hugema. Ecofeminism is a movement that applies feminist principles to ecological issues. We are set out to debunk the myth that feminism is for females only, and that environmental issues are something we are just going to have to accept. The people I interview here are social change makers making an impact in the world. These changes can be big or small, and all changes in any shape or form matter, whether they are inspired by businesses, people, or nonprofits. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome to another episode of the Ecofeminist Podcast. I'm your host, Ellen Hugema, and today's guest is Misa Muto of Tokyo, Japan. She co-founded her business Aizome Bedding with her partner Michael May last year. So it's a bed linen company, and the whole concept is that it's dyed with indigo dyes rather than chemical dyes. Because if you sleep in your bed every single night out of the year, would you be wanting to spend all those hours, 1/3 of your life, in chemicals? Probably not. So indigo has even more healing properties to it, which we'll discuss in this podcast episode. So it's really exciting, and it really has gotten me to thinking about my own bedding situation and if I need to upscale that. So yeah, really cool episode. I did not know that indigo dye also benefited your skin. So yeah, take a listen to this episode. It's really cool. Hello, Misa.
Hello, Ellen.
So great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. Actually, I'm a little bit nervous because it's the first time to speak in front of people or to be recorded.
Well, let's see. I think you don't have any reason to be nervous because it's all just us talking and having fun.
Yeah.
And talking about the amazing brand that you just started. Is it IndieGoGo, right?
IndieGoGo, yes,
Yeah.
on the April 30th.
April 30th.
Like
it started.
3 days ago. Or, yeah.
Cool. We'll get into that in a little bit. But first, I want to get to know you a little bit. And I think our listeners would like to get you to know you a little bit too. So what's your background? Yeah. And at the beginning of Aizome as well.
Yeah. So I was born in Japan and grew up in Japan for my entire life. But I studied in Canada for some time when I was 14 years old. But that was only the experience in overseas. And so basically I grew up surrounded nature, and then I always loved nature, and then I was always playing outside, like around the river and then in the mountain in the childhood. And then so I graduated from university 3 years ago. And then after that, I started to work for one of the biggest Japanese cosmetic companies, because at that time I was really in love with cosmetics, because I believed that cosmetics have the power to make people confident and beautiful from inside and outside, and that was the reason that I wanted to work for a cosmetic company. But after 2 years in that company, I started to a little bit uncomfortable, because I was in a sales department, and then my boss always tell me I have to sell more than $20,000 of cosmetics to the retailers, but people don't want cosmetics, so that's why people don't buy, right? And then I thought it's meaningless to sell something that people don't want, and I wanted to do something meaningful and something for something contributes to people. And then at that time I was talking to one of my co-founder, Michael May. And then he's also working for a medical company. And then we were talking about don't you think we want to make new company or something new? And then I was like, yeah, why not? And then it was totally random conversation, but we talked. We were close friends for a few years. So of course we talk about business, and sometimes we talk about what we like. And for example, So Michael really loves Japanese antique borrow textiles, old textiles, or antique stuff. And then when we were talking about those stuff, he told me there is Japanese borrow textile, Japanese old textile called boro, and then boro is basically dyed with indigo, and then he has a lot of borrowed textiles, and then he showed me the textile, and he said like, so this borrow is more than 100 years old, and I was like, what? Because that fabric looks totally new and totally beautiful, and then I couldn't believe it was more than 100 years old. And then the reason because is that indigo has some effects that makes the fabric durable and really strong, because indigo cores the yarn of the fabric. That's why those fabrics are still alive. And then I was really fascinated by the effect of indigo, and then he also fascinated by those effects. And then we both interested in like I was interested in skin, and he's interested in health. So we thought maybe we can do something for health or skin using indigo. And then that's when we started to this Aizome bedding, actually. Yeah, and it all happened so fast, and then Aizome bedding starts last September, and then so it has only been more than 6 months or 8 months, actually.
Nice. And
Thank you.
so the indigo dye, you were curious, he was curious. Such an
Yes.
amazing ingredient. So when you had the idea to start Aizome, and also what does the name mean, and where did you find the indigo? Did you go
Okay.
searching for?
Yeah. So first of all, the name Aizome. So Aizome means the art of Japanese art of dyeing textiles in Japan. So that's called Aizome. And then we wanted to. So both of us are living in Japan. So we wanted to make a company that has a hint of Japanese, Japan, and sounds Japanese, and so that's why we made a name, Aizome Bedding. So and then so when we decided to work on this Aizome Bedding, I started to call so many factories and so many craftsmen in Japan who is doing Aizome dye, indigo dye, and then but so basically, Aizome, indigo dye, is almost forgotten tradition in Japan. So, like, for example, 100 years ago, most of the people was wearing indigo dyed fabrics because it's the most common fabric and dye in Japan. But right now, it replaced to chemical dye, so we don't wear something dyed with indigo. So that's why there's not so many people who is doing indigo dye. So in Japan, I think there's only 30 or 40 places who is doing indigo dye, and I called them. And then yeah, of course I found many indigo dyer, but some not all of them are doing completely natural dye. Some people use chemical to make the blue, but so there's few natural dyer. And then one of the friend of us introduced us one dyer in Tochigi. Tochigi is near Tokyo and it's countryside. And then we heard that there's one guy who is doing indigo dye completely naturally, and then we visited him. And then now he's working with us, and he's giving us advice about indigo and then how to do indigo dye, and yeah. So we are working with the indigo dyer in the countryside, actually.
Nice. And did you go there?
Yes, yes.
And And
So and then we also hold a Indigo Dye event in Japan once a month actually. So we rent a car and then take many people to Indigo Dye place, and then we all experience Indigo Dye, and so, yeah, so that's what we do beside the making bed sheets.
and do they grow the indigo there?
Yeah, but actually, we are not producing in Japan because the amount of indigo dye is limited, and that reason why is so there is only 3 people who is making indigo dye itself. So the so the amount of indigo dye is so few, so we cannot produce indigo bed sheets in Japan. So, but we found really nice factory in Yantai, China. So we are working with them, and then they're using organic cotton and then organic indigo dye, and then they also and then we are we are working with them, and we also often visit them and talk with them, and yeah, so it's really nice to work with them.
Nice.
Mm.
Um, so how why is indigo dye so special? So can we go a little bit deeper in?
Yeah,
So
okay.
it said skin
So
and health
why
benefits.
indigo? Yeah, so basically indigo is the medicinal plant in Asia. So we often use Chinese medicine, and then there's one plant, indigo. So indigo has some effects like antibacterial effect and anti-inflammatory effect and anti-odor effect, and there's so many effects of that are good to our skin and health. And then and also it makes the fabric really strong. So we thought maybe it's really good when it when we want to make some bed sheets, because bed sheets is bed sheets is not something we should buy many times. Bed sheets is something we use long time. So if we use indigo for bed sheets, then bed sheets becomes really strong, and we don't have to buy bed sheets every year or every 2 years. So that's why. And then we spend 1/3 of our life in bed, right? So we thought it's really important to sleep in really really high quality bed sheets. And then also skin is one of the largest organ in our body. So skin absorbs a lot of chemicals, synthetic chemicals on the fabric, and then those chemicals can trigger cancer or allergy or skin diseases. So it's so just think about it. When what if 1/3 of your life for 1/3 of your life your skin absorbing chemicals? It's horrible. So that's why we thought maybe we can use indigo and make bed sheets and make people's sleep even better.
Nice. And
Mm.
what does it do for the skin? Like, is indigo, does it have healing properties for the skin?
Yes, yeah, it has healing properties. So for example, there's a story in Japan that is for example, samurai, some Japanese samurai were used to wear indigo dyed fabrics and underwears because it helps our wounds heal even faster. Or and so our a lot of indigo dyers told me that, like for example, a lot of there's a lot of people who have skin problems, but if those people use indigo dyed textiles, they feel if it's much softer, and then it's much and kinder to their skin, and then the irritation of them get reduced. That's what people do, but that's what people say. So it has really good skin healing properties to our skin.
And when you wash the sheets, do the healing properties still stay because the indigo is still in there?
Yes.
Obviously, yeah.
Yes. Right. Right. And then our bedding is, so our bedding is not handmade. Actually, we use sonic wave technique. Sonic wave is the technique is a new technique in last 2 years, and then it's not handmade. And then if we use the technique, then the liquid go into the yarn really deeply, so the liquid stays even longer and even stronger. So our bedding is especially, it's really good when we wash many times, because the color doesn't go away, and then the indigo goes doesn't go away, and yeah,
Nice.
so it stays. Yeah.
Okay, can we dive a little deeper into the IndieGoGo campaign now?
Okay.
So it seems like it was very successful, or it is already successful. So what was your goal, and how was your experience, and all that good
Okay.
stuff?
So we started the IndieGoGo campaign on April 30th, and then our first goal was 10,000 to get funded $10,000, but we already actually funded three 30,000. So that means we got funded 300% already, and then
Wow!
it's really amazing.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then of course a lot of our friends bought our bedding, but at the same time so many people from Instagram and Facebook come to our Indiegogo page, and then they supported us, and yeah, thanks to those passionate supporters, we already achieved the goal. But our goal is, of course we need money to produce bedding, but at the same time it's not really about money. It's more about, we want to raise awareness of the toxic synthetic chemicals on the fabric, and then how textile industry polluted our environment. So that's the biggest goal, and that's what we want to achieve in this campaign. We want to raise awareness of that more. Yeah, that's our goal.
Nice. Yeah, it's difficult, the topic of toxicity, because we can't see it, so people
Yeah,
don't
it's
really
it's not
generally care.
visible.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to
that's
teach them.
yeah. So what I think is, so many people right now started to care about foods, like they started to buy organic foods and organic beauty products, but that's not the only solution for healthy health, because it's the toxic chemical on the fabric is not visible, but it has same effect as foods and natural no cosmetics. So it's really difficult to let people know that it has toxic chemical on the fabric. It's really difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and people sometimes don't even want to hear it because they're like, "Where do I begin? There's toxic
Yeah.
chemicals everywhere."
Yeah, I know, and then people don't want to spend much money on fashion. There's so many cheap brand like H&M or Zara, or you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
all fast fashion.
Yes. Right. That's right.
So the Indiegogo campaign is very successful, and I'm very excited for you.
Yes.
So that's a really good sign that what you're doing is great, and that there's a market for it, and that
Yeah.
people need it. So since you're in the beginning phase, this is maybe a difficult question, but if you can sort of envision yourself, I mean, if you're starting a business, you've probably envisioned this. Where would you preferably be in 5 years?
5 years. Yeah. It's already been 8 months when we first started, but we already have a lot of things that we want to do. For example, after we finish this Indiegogo campaign, we want to produce more items like pajamas and underwears and baby clothes, and I think we will do that in later time after the Indiegogo campaign, and in 5 years, I think we can I think we will be able to raise more awareness of the toxic chemicals and skin absorptions and better sleep and better skin. And then in 5 years, I think we have a lot of things that we want to do, but we will continue this from the health perspectives. We don't change our philosophy that we want to make people healthy and then contribute to their health, and that's what we don't want to change in 5 years.
Yeah, beautiful. So
Thank you.
you've come up with some. We just were talking about this before we started recording. The obstacles. I think it's quite an interesting one because you have had some setbacks and drawbacks even recently.
Yeah.
So what are some obstacles, and how did you overcome them? So what was the opportunity in the obstacle?
So obstacle it's really difficult because of course we have a lot of problems when we're doing this business, but personally I don't see them as obstacles. It's just a problem, and that's something I believe we can fix. So but if I choose one obstacles, then it will be that, so we depend on computers. Basically, we cannot do our business without computer. So we are the team of 7 people, but even one of us lose our laptop, then it's gonna be a mess. And then, yes, 2 days ago, my laptop crashed, even though it was one day after our campaign started, and then actually that problem hasn't been solved, and then my laptop still crashed. So that's the biggest obstacle, and then unfortunately that's not solved yet.
But it does seem like you've been able to work well with it because you're here now on your phone. We're recording this on your phone. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So luckily nowadays those phones are sort of our little buffer until you can fix the computer situation. But it does show how important the computers are.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but for me that's the biggest obstacle right now.
Yeah. And you just mentioned your team is 7 people. Can you talk a little bit about them and how did you find each other, and how do you divide the tasks?
Yeah. So when we started this Aizome bidding, Michael May and I started. So there was only 2 people. But after that, I was working for only cosmetic companies, and he's working for medical device company, and then we both had never experienced like marketing department or product design department. So we are completely amateurs, and then we had no idea how to make websites and how to contact to the factories, and so that was really tough. And then so we wanted to find somebody who is really good about product design or marketing, and then we started to talk about this to my friends. And then so Michael lived in America and Germany and China, and he has a lot of experience and he has a lot of friends. And then also he has a lot of friends who is really good marketing or product design or product management. And then so basically all of us is his friends. Actually, that's how that's how we gathered.
And you're all in Japan, or are you scattered across the world?
So half of us are living in Japan, and half of them are living in Germany, Sweden, and United Arab Emirates, and so half of them are overseas.
Yeah, then computers are definitely important because that's how you sort of stay in touch.
Yeah, that's why I got depressed when I when my laptop crashed.
Yeah. And what's your
Mm.
target market now? So are you focusing on specific geographical
It's
area or
our
worldwide?
target is especially Europe, and the reason is because people in Europe have is more conscious about ecology and organic foods and about health, and yeah, that's why we are targeting Europe. But of course, we want to sell in Japan as well. But in Japan, the awareness of organic foods or environmentally friendly products is still really low. So we thought it's not a good idea to start with Japan first. So that's why we started around Europe and also America.
Nice.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
um, I want to go into one question, but first I want to go into the Indiegogo a little bit more. So if someone now listening
Okay.
wants to partake in that, what can she do?
Pardon? Sorry.
If someone wants to like buy so the Indiegogo campaign, you can buy the bedding. Can you choose like a set? Like how does it work?
Okay. So right now, so we made a little program that people can choose whatever they want. So for example, if you want queen size fitted sheets and um, king size duvet cover, then you can buy both. But before that, we cannot let people choose what they want to get. So right now, anyone can get whatever they want. And of course, we offer a complete set for each size. And of course, we also offer like two pillowcases or one pillowcases or two special pillowcases. And then special pillowcases is the one with the embroidery of your name. I think it's really cool. So, if you both the if you buy the special pillowcase, Ellen, then your name will be on the pillowcase in
Nice.
Japanese.
In
Yeah.
Japanese. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's
so
really
cool.
cute. Yeah, it's
Oh,
really
I
cute.
love that. And to do that, to buy it, do you go to the website or do you go to the Indiegogo page?
I will recommend what's
Yeah, you're back.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
So I recommend to go to the Indiegogo page directly.
Yeah.
Of course, you can visit our website, but it's easier to visit Indiegogo. And
Okay.
now on May 3rd, our campaign is on trending page. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
go check trending page.
Congratulations. Yeah. And so can you give the URL? I'll link to it as well in the show notes, but can you give the URL? The Indiegogo
Yeah.
URL? Yeah.
Yep.
So I always like to ask this question. It's about advice that you've received from someone in the past, like a mentor or a teacher, something that inspires you and that maybe has inspired you with the work you're doing with Aizome. And so do you have one of those quotes that you live by in your day-to-day life or in business?
Yes. So the the most inspirational advice was push yourself out of your comfort zone, and that was by my one of my close friends. And then so before I started this business, in I was always in my comfort zone. Like I was in a good university in Japan, and I started to work in cosmetic company, which is traditional and then one of the biggest. So of course I got a lot of salary from the company, and then if I say I'm working for this company, then people say like, oh, it's amazing, nobody can work nobody can work in the company if you are not good at sales or if you're not good at cosmetics. And then I believe it was the biggest comfort zone in my life. But if I don't get out of the comfort zone, then I can I thought I cannot make something great and something that is good for people. And then of course it was really scary to leave company and then lose my financial security. But still my passion was to make something great and something for people and something meaningful in my life and for people. So yeah, and so my friend gave me the quote one day, and then that helps me a lot to start Aizome bedding.
Nice, very cool. And is there anything else you would like to add for our listeners?
Yes, so we are just a company, small startup, and that's only been 6 months years old, or 8 months years old. And but we are a group of passionate people who wants to make great things to people, and who wants to do good to environment. And then we are just a beginning, but um, I really want all of you to think about what is good for your health, and what is good for your environment. And then yeah, so I'm happy if this conversation will be your step to think of those things, especially your health and environment. And then yeah, it was really good opportunity to talk with you, Ellen.
Thank you so much. I really
Thank you.
love the brand so much. So
Thank you so
cool.
much.
I'm gonna head over to the IndieGoGo site and link it.
Yeah.
Link through to it in the show notes so that people listening can also head on over there. So
Oh,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much for being on the show, and good luck with everything. And congratulations on how far you've come already with the IndieGoGo campaign.
Yeah, thank you so much for supporting me.
Thank you. Have a nice
Okay,
day.
have a nice day. Thank you.
That is a wrap. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. I hope you learned a thing or two from Misa about bedding and indigo dye, and I hope you are willing to consider your bedroom and what changes you can make there for your health and for the planet. And if you're interested in checking out their IndieGoGo campaign, I'm going to link through to it in the show notes, so be sure and check them out and pre-order your bed sheets there. I will definitely be checking them out. And if you want to continue this conversation and talk about your bedroom and what might be dangerous in there for your health, let's head on over to Facebook and Instagram at EcoFemMag and continue the conversation there. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being a part of the ecofeminist movement. So thrilled to have you, and I hope you have an amazing day. Let us know what you think by using the hashtag ecofemmag, and catch us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at ecofemmag. And did you like this episode? Then please consider leaving a rating and review on iTunes. It means the world to get your feedback. If you want to reach out for collaborations, then send an email to hi@ecofeminist.co. Want more? Check out articles about social change, environment, nature, business, feminism, female power, beauty, fashion, and travel at www.ecofeminist.co. Thank you for listening, and I hope to catch you there or in the next episode.